All right, we are going to get going. It is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, and this is the Economic Development Meeting being held at 6:30 PM. We're going to call this meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded by the Economic Development Committee. If any other persons present are doing the same at the time, you must notify the chair. Nobody in the room, nobody online. We are going to move on to a roll call members. Counselor Mastrataro. Here. Counselor Gordon.
Here.
Counselor Bullock.
Here.
Counselor Minhas. I didn't hear you, Counselor. You want to just check your mic, make sure it's working one more time? Mike, there we go.
I am here, sir.
Thank you.
Hello,
all
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yep. All members are present. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from September 9th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. And we're going to take a roll call vote. Counselor Mastrataro.
Yeah, aye.
Counselor Gordon.
Yes.
Counselor Bullock.
Yes.
Counselor Minhas.
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. So this is approval of minutes. How you doing?
Aye.
Are you going to be doing public comment or? Because we're about to start and I'll have you sign in real quick. Next item on the list is public comment. And we could start on the board up there. If anybody online, please raise your hand if you want to do public comment. Okay, go ahead, Al.
Mic's off. Turn your mic on.
Turn your mic on, Al, and state your name and address, please. And you'll have, everybody will have 3 minutes for public comment. Still can't hear you. Try to unmute him.
You can see his mic is off.
Can you hear me
There we
now?
go. Yes.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
It's all good. Go ahead, Al. Name and address, please.
Councilors, I wanted to, sorry, Al Norman, Grinnell Street. I wanted to just make a comment about an item on your agenda this evening, which is the tax title taking of two properties. Actually, it's a discussion. I'm at a disadvantage because one of the properties was clearly stated in the tax title that it was taken for $1,300. The other one, I couldn't, it was not stated in any of the materials in your packet how much was owed. But the property at 7 River Street was owned by a family that I am familiar with. And it's a family that Howard Shepard was an excellent mason in Greenfield and did work on many people's homes. And I just was saddened to see that house was taken by a former collector. I want to make it clear that it's not the current collector, but a former tax collector in Greenfield took this property for $1,300 in back taxes. Looks like, I think, in 2014. Why it's 9 years before it's come to you for a discussion is beyond me. But the point I wanted to make was the system remains broken for home equity. If we have properties that are being taken for relatively small amounts of money and not allowed to come up with a repayment plan with the owner of the property and other kinds of help we could find. Maybe the new elderly and disabled task force could have helped a family like this. But I really think that this property should not be, I don't know where the family is and whether they are paying any attention to this, whether they care, whether they know, but it's morally wrong, in my opinion, for a city to be taking somebody's home, or it's not a home, actually, it's a very small building, but to take any building that belongs to somebody that they put equity into, to take it for such a small amount of money without coming up with a repayment plan makes no sense to me and reminds me that our system is still broken in Greenfield. The second property I can't comment on. This is why we need public comment after you make the presentation, not before, but I'll just leave it that I'm disturbed that these two properties are being discussed at all. The second one, I don't know how much is owed, but the first one shouldn't even be on our agenda. It should have been returned to the family with some kind of repayment plan possible, unless the family doesn't care and doesn't want the property, but none of these things are apparent. But that's just the comment I want to make about my unhappiness with the home equity tax taking project rules that we're using in Greenfield. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Al. Just pausing for a second. Somebody's joining the meeting. Go ahead, Stephanie, name and address.
My name is Stephanie.
I'm gonna go stay online and then I'll bounce to you. There's Stephanie online too.
Another
Thank
Stephanie.
you. Stephanie online. I'll be more clear this time.
Hi, Stephanie Duclos. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to echo the same concerns I had, that Al has. I have seen a lot of property taken for a very little amount, and it especially has occurred in my neighborhood. I have real concern that this is appearing, after many, many years, 9 years, I think is what Al had said. I question why now? And have the people who own the property been notified that they're, potentially they could be living in another state. They don't know they owe it. They don't know they're being seized. And I can tell you by the fact that I didn't receive a butters notices when certain construction like trenching happened in my neighborhood. I don't trust that everybody who's concerned or who has maybe stake in any of this stuff that's happening in planning and development or seizure of properties have been properly notified. So that is a continuing concern for me. I brought it up multiple times, and definitely the process is broken. To seize property for $1,200, to not have made some sort of outreach to them to negotiate making that current. It just seems going against what we actually stand for and not taking people's homes or making people homeless for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online? All right, then we are gonna go to the room. I'm just gonna cross the.
Here, if you like.
Yeah, come on up to the table, Stephanie. And just state your name and address, please.
My name is Stephanie and I live at 323 Shelburne Center Road in Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts. And I just wanted to address you guys and first of all, say thank you guys so much for volunteering your time and working on all these committees, because in the past couple months, I've learned a lot and it doesn't seem like it's fun. So that being said, I do appreciate what you guys are doing. I am here today because I am working to put a veterinary clinic in a vacant space in Greenfield that is currently general commercial, and it is prohibited for animal hospitals to be there. And we don't have a definition for animal clinics. And as you guys learned last month, the animal hospitals are blended with animal kennels because of how they were written in 1989 is a lot different from where vet hospitals are now. Vet hospitals used to be all rural and mixed animal use, and now we have a lot of different models for what can be done. I'm hoping that today you guys can discuss through it and look at the definition for animal clinic. And I know it seems like the animal hospital kennel portion isn't being addressed as much right now, which is okay. In terms of looking at those different areas, animal hospitals are and clinics are both quiet areas. They employ a lot of local people, a lot of high schoolers, a lot of a good range of different types of employees. They're not high traffic, they're low, they're quiet, and most vets are good neighbors. So I'm hoping that this can go through today and that we can help bring some more businesses, non-corporate businesses to Greenfield.
All right, thank you so much. I'm gonna go online one more time to make sure nobody else has any comments before we move on. And I am not seeing anybody, so we're gonna move on. There are no public hearings tonight. We will be moving on to motions, which is, let me just pull that motion up real quick. Give me 1 second to get there. To take from the table, order number FY 26-046. This was previously tabled in the last EDC meeting,
This part is about.
and I'll need a motion for somebody to take this off the table.
Motion to take it from the table.
This could go on for
First,
45 minutes.
can I get we need a second?
We could tape later.
Al, can you just mute yourself,
Um,
please?
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
Second from Mike.
We're gonna be discussing this with the planning board joint meeting,
No.
right? No?
Well, I'll get into that after. Take from the table. I'm just trying to take notes too. FY 6046. Get a first and a second. All right, so we have to do a roll call vote to take this from the table. So Counselor Mastero,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Can you hear me?
Yep. Would you like to take this? You're kind of breaking up, so. And I'm a yes as well. So we now have the question off the table. I'm gonna read the order just to refresh everybody's mind, and then we can go into why we tabled this and have some open discussion. So this is order number FY 26-046. The city council moved that be ordered that the Economic Development Committee take from the table. Oh, we already read all that. Take from the table order number FY 2630, amend the zoning ordinance, chapter 200, article 2, definition, section 200-3 by adding language in bold and by deleting language in a strike through as follows, and attached exhibit A, and further amends the table of contents and index of the code, and further that the non-substantive changes to the numbering of the ordinance be permitted in order that it be in compliance with the numbering format of the code of the city of Greenfield, which was tabled at the September 9th meeting to 2025 by the EDC. So we had tabled this because there was some confusion between Ollie's Law and what we were trying to actually accomplish here. So the concern that was brought forward was if we were originally striking out animal kennels, and I have the old language in front of me here, and hospitals, and replacing with animal and medical centers. The problem was, the thought was that we weren't allowed to have zoning enforcement on animal kennels within Greenfield, which after further clarification from the state, we still are allowed to zone where we want animal kennels in Greenfield. It was just, we didn't want to take the risk of having anybody put it in a kennel anywhere they want because we fully pulled it out of the zoning. So we decided to table it. After further clarifications, we have realized that we can keep the zoning in place. So this is kind of, Eric and I looked at this as a minor change because we're actually not doing as much to the zoning ordinance as we previously were. So it was a non-substantive change. So that's kind of where we stand now. So I'm going to open it up for discussion. Any counselors? Go ahead, Counselor Minhas.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yes, I think now I definitely have a better idea of what this is about, and I just like to say I appreciate the person for coming. I didn't catch your name because my connection is kind of off right now, but anyone who's bringing in business to Greenfield, economic activity to Greenfield, especially when it's like they clarified a non-corporate way, we are very open to that, and I just want to kind of say that explicitly. So thank you for choosing Greenfield. I hope through the whole process that you find everyone to be helpful, and Greenfield is yearning for some economic growth and definitely for to heal our pets. This would be a service that's much needed around here. So thank you for that, and we'll try to do everything that we can, not just to help you, but everyone else who's trying to generate some economic activity locally here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other counselors?
Yeah, I'm all for this. However, I'm looking at the table of uses.
Mhm.
Now, the RC, it's by special permit, right? Rural residential. The RB is by special permit. Suburban residential. In the RA, which is urban residential, it's a yes, if I'm reading this right. My glasses are,
All right, it's a no right now.
RA is a no.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Thank you. So the problem I have with this is if you were to look at the map, the zoning map, Wells Street, the general industry strip in Wells Street and Chapman Street, directly across the streets from Wells, the GI is urban residential. Directly across the street. And now granted, this happened years ago, a lot, I consider this spot zoning. As there's also another area here where they stuck in GI and Chapman Street. So I don't know if there's a way that we could amend this where you could be in the GI except for certain areas. Because I just don't think that's fair to those of us that live right across the street from general industry, where it's a no in urban residential, which this is located.
Sorry, so you're wanting to make it by special permit in general industry as well?
Well, it's not special permit it's not special permit in rural residential. It's a no in rural residential.
So what do you want to, sorry, what are you wanting to do in general and just in the GI?
In the GI along Wells Street and Chapman Street, I want to make it a no.
So we are gonna have to amend this anyways, based on the new language from the planning and zoning department. So, you know, that is something within our power to do that. Do I 100% agree with it? No, but because again, this is an animal medical center / clinic. This isn't a kennel. This isn't a hospital. It's not
Right,
outside barking. They're coming in, they're getting seen, they're leaving.
Okay, then why is it a no in the rural residential?
That's a good question.
Is there other businesses that are allowed in rural residential?
Well, I believe Dr. Funk is in rural residential and he's a vet. So if anything, I would propose allowing it in rural residential rather than restricting it. These aren't noisy businesses. They're not
I understand that.
kennels.
However, that strip is pretty of GI is pretty dense right now as it is. And it's just an inconvenience for the folks who live there. I just don't think it's the place for that. And neither do the neighbors. I mean, we're all pretty fed up with what goes on Wells Street as far as many of the businesses, not all of them. I mean, there's already a truck depot there now. There's Jim's Tree Service there now. And I wouldn't want to have a dog hospital next to a Jim's Tree Service because that probably wouldn't be very good for the pets. But because of the obnoxious noises out of that place. But so I don't know if there's a way we can make this work. Maybe by special permit. I mean, that would be a compromise.
But in the GI, you can at this current moment not have automotive repair and servicing shop. You cannot have an animal kennel and hospital, but you can have a medical center clinic, including accessory research. And I think the distinction in language here is between kennel and clinic, correct? That's what why we separated?
Yeah, so we wanted to keep our zoning, and there's gonna be more work in the future, probably on the animal kennel and hospital portion. But we wanted to keep it separate because if we went with the original approach of this, we were striking out animal kennels in total from our zoning ordinance, which means they could, there's nothing preventing them anywhere in the city at that point, right?
Mhm.
So, my argument here is, if you look at the way rural residential applies throughout most of this, everything, a lot of things are no in rural residential. It's
Yeah.
kind of protected agriculture land out there anyways, and a lot of things aren't even allowed there, whereas, the other residentials, you do have more of a special permit process to do things. The GI industry, is general industry. I'd be comfortable making it by special permit in that location, making sure that it meets all the requirements and that the additional traffic isn't going to cause any issues and things like that. It definitely belongs in commercial districts, right? So, I'm open to suggestions. We have to change this either way. So,
Can I ask specifically, I didn't know last month and I don't want to make this decision based on an individual business, but is that the location where this business is wanting to go?
Why don't we ask her?
No, this is at Cherry Run Plaza in a
Oh.
space that's been vacant for 10 years.
Okay,
That's not GI, that's,
That's general commercial and it's not allowed, or animal hospitals are not allowed.
yeah,
Even though we're in my space within 1 mile as the bird flies, there's 2 other wetlands.
I think that's, considered,
is it RC?
I think it's,
No, GC.
is it,
yeah.
isn't it limited commercial up through there? Or that's High Street.
But Animal Medical Center and Clinic is, right here is allowed in LC and GC.
Yeah, but that language isn't in there yet. We're adding.
this is the proposed.
So we're adding this language as
This
part of
is
this.
the proposal.
Yes.
Okay.
So before we were striking this out, the animal hospital and kennel, and adding this to replace it. Now
Okay.
we're leaving this and just adding this language
And
with
the
this
medical
statement
center.
in 200-3. So
Okay.
that would be the amendment we would have to make to this. So
The LC is, Cherry Rum's in the LC, and that's perfect. I mean, that's a great place for it.
Do you have the,
I-
wait, I'll go look at this.
I honestly, knowing that I'm
Yeah,
like
no,
industry friend. Oh, Rachel, we haven't heard from you. I see your hands up. Join the discussion.
Thank you.
Sometimes we forget about the screen, right?
It happens.
Just shout in next time.
Yeah, no, I'm patient. I knew you would get to me. I first of all really appreciate that this was separated out because there was so much confusion last month. I was certainly confused, and I'm really glad that we went, that we tabled it, went back to the drawing board a little bit, and really clarified what decisions applied to what. I'm excited about this change. I'd be excited to have more veterinary access and capacity in Greenfield. I think this is a great, that particular location is great, even though obviously this decision isn't about this particular project. As far as this question of like the industrial place on Wells Street, it seems to me that like there's a bigger zoning conversation that needs to happen about Wells Street, right? And like we're not going to solve that problem by like piecemeal keeping out certain types of businesses. Obviously, it's also a bigger issue. Like it's going to take longer to address it in a holistic way. But I'm hesitant to say, oh, we shouldn't allow animal clinics there because there's all these issues with businesses that are already there. I mean, it also sounds like that wouldn't be a good location, so I kind of doubt that a clinic would want to go in there. I think if allowing this by special permit is what will let us all feel comfortable moving this forward, I'm okay with that. I'm happy with the language as currently proposed, and I'm excited to support this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say I'm happy to I understand the issue there on Wall Street because I have gotten letters about Jim's Tree Service and other things for years. I think the issue actually is the GI section between Wells and Allen. And the GI section extends much longer past Allen. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have this go in as special permit for that, for GI and support the rest of it. With the hope that until this bigger zoning conversation can happen about that area, if anything did want to go in there, would have to go before a special permit.
Okay. I could also support special permit in the GI as well. I think that case,
Again, it's a bigger issue. I don't know how we fix it, but it's certainly worth talking about down the road.
Yep.
And like you said, it's not gonna get fixed tonight, but.
yeah, and I just want to stay on what's on the agenda. So
Right.
if we want to talk about that, we could certainly put it in a future meeting. I just don't want to stray too far from the agenda.
Right.
All right. So, my recommendation would be, right now, I'm gonna read the order right now as it's stated, just so you're clear.
Mhm.
And then I would recommend that somebody would make a motion to amend the motion to get rid of the previously striked out section that said that striked out animal kennel and hospital and replaced it with animal medical center and clinic. And then added under section 200-3, the terms and words animal medical center and clinic as read in our packet, right? And that will clean this all up. And then we would also want to amend the table of uses to have special permit under the GI industry for animal medical center and clinic.
Mhm.
This is kind of getting kind of messy, but I think it's doable.
No, it's only three items.
So again, as it reads now, order number FY 26-0-30, that the city council of Greenfield amend the zoning ordinance, chapter 200, article 2, definitions, section 200 by adding language in bold and deleting language in strike through as follows, as attached in exhibit A, and further amends the table of contents and index of the code. And further, that non-substantial changes numbering of the ordinance be permitted in that it be in compliance with the numbering format of the code of the city of Greenfield. So, anybody want to try to take a pass at that amendment?
Can I do it?
Yeah.
Motion to amend. I'd like to make a motion to amend.
Can I get a second on the motion to amend?
Second.
Okay. Motion to amend.
And I'd like to remove animal, kennel, and hospital, and clinic and center. And add section 200-3, terms and words. And amend the table of uses to add medical center and clinic. And you want it by special permit in GI.
And special permit by GI, yep. SP. All right, so an amendment has been proposed. Now we could open up discussion on the amendment. Does anybody have any discussion on the amendment? Okay, now we could take a vote on the motion as amended. Counselor Mastro,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Now we need to take another vote, I believe, on how the motion is amended, and I have to read this back somehow, so.
Okay.
So the motion has been amended. Let's see, this gets so sloppy. And I called Kathy and talked to her for like 30 minutes how to do this tonight. So order number FY 26-030 as amended That the City Council of Greenfield amends the zoning ordinance, chapter 200, articles 2, definition section 200 by adding language in bold and deleting language in strike through as follows, attached in exhibit A, which will be an amended exhibit A as stated here that removes the previous strike through of animal kennel and hospital, adds under section 200-3 animal medical center and clinics to the table of uses, and then strike requires special permit in the GI.
That's it.
And the table reflects that.
And the table reflects that accordingly, correct? Okay, so now we're gonna take a vote. Final vote as amended, I guess. And that's gonna be a roll call vote. So Counselor Mastro,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Take a deep breath, everybody.
That wasn't so bad.
It's just messy. It's just. All right, so next on the agenda. We're moving on is discussions. And here we have a couple items. A couple items here to discuss. These are about the surplus property. So these are only discussions. We're not voting on this tonight. We don't vote on authorizing this tonight at all. And if the mayor doesn't mind, if she wants to join us at the table, because I think she'd be an important part.
Okay.
Over to a more comfortable chair. Thank you.
Yeah, so the first item on the agenda here, Mayor, is review, submit written comments, and if any, regarding the surplus property of the potential sale of city-owned located at 7 River Street. So let's discuss 7 River Street first. Can you just give us a fill-in on that whole process?
Yes. I'm just gonna start by telling you that the reason that both of these properties are up. We had a property compliance meeting. Where I believe that we talked about 28 parcels that are within the city of Greenfield. None of this came from any desire to make any money for the city of Greenfield. The properties are situated throughout Greenfield. I met Counselor Bullock as I was actually walking around looking at the parcels. There are problems for people in different neighborhoods because of the conditions of the properties. It's some of them the city owns, and some of them property owners own. Some of them are properties that people are squatting in, but they are in terrible disrepair. And a few of them people have just, walked away from or haven't paid their taxes on. This one, the first one, 7 River Road, that was taken for non-payment of taxes. This was taken for non-payment of taxes. I think the figure stated was correct. I believe that both people are deceased. And it is definitely in disrepair. It is not a home. There is no intent for the city to be making money. It is an eyesore for whoever is the neighbor. And it is to make it look better in the neighborhood and perhaps it would be something that could be back on tax rolls. So that's what I have to say about that.
Okay, I think we'll just go through both of them and then we'll open up the discussion afterwards once we talk, because it's similar discussion for both. So the other one is 31 Cheapside Street regarding the surplus property disposition and potential sale by the city. So 31 Cheapside street. Looked like a nicer property,
Yes,
actually.
actually, it is. That is also, if you've driven by that as
I
well.
drove by that today.
Yeah, yeah, that would be something that would be wonderful if it was back on, if someone was there. Again, this is,
It's seen better days.
it has definitely seen better days, and it would be wonderful if somebody could be there. And you know, I am, I think, you know, I was the person that was a proponent of, no proponent of home equity theft.
Mhm.
As you know, this is, we have like 28 or 30 of them across the city. You know, several of them on Deerfield Street, many of them within certain neighborhoods. And it really brings a whole neighborhood down. So we are looking around, seeing what we can do.
Mhm.
I thought we were putting 3 of them on. There's another one on Country Club Road. So we're seeing what we can do. And if you folks have any suggestions for what to do, I welcome them. There's one on 425 Country Club Road. I thought that one was coming on at once. We put them out, 30 days notice. We put them to any departments. If anybody here has better suggestions, but they've been on for 6 or 7 years. They're, you know, we put them out to the families. I actually looked while I was sitting here, you know, they go to the estates of, so it appeared to me the first one, I didn't get a chance to, you know, to review all the family histories. I was sitting here, but I know the first one, both people, it appeared to me, had passed away. And it can sit there vacant and looking like that for more time. I have no desire for this. It's not a moneymaker. It's to it's to improve our city.
Yeah.
So if it stays the same way, it's okay with me, but we're looking at them. It's a real, you know, the 2 that I was looking at where you are.
Oh, yeah, one
So-
of them is a real issue.
Yeah, it's just a travesty in certain neighborhoods. We condemn them. And, you know, still nothing happens. So what is the solution to that? But sometimes there would be, you know, each one has a different story.
Can I ask?
Yes.
About 31 Cheapside?
I'm on that one right now on the registry.
That's unoccupied, I'm assuming, as
Oh,
far
yes.
as it should be, because it looks condemnable. I mean, it's in better shape than some, but I mean, it's overgrown, around, what's the situation with the owners or past owners or, do we know?
They haven't been there for a long time. I can't tell you the whole, I was sitting here, had more time to review the first one. But
I've-
not there for a long time.
So then if, with the new, and Al's gone, with the new home equity, because the city owns these, any profit made beyond the tax, the city retains. Whereas like any new properties that would come before us, any profit that's made, the city would then have to give to the owner.
Minus any of the costs, we
legal
will
fees.
follow all the law.
Right.
We actually, at our property meeting,
Mhm.
we had Gordon sit in for the whole meeting, because each property that we are dealing with has all kinds of issues. So it was almost a 2-hour meeting, and he sat in for the whole thing. And these 2 parcels, it was okay for us to sell. I think part of it is because of the length of time.
Yeah, so, I'll go to Councilor Minhouse in a minute. I just wanted to ask, so, my concern was, you know, like, do we have a legal opinion on this? Because if you look at it and you have tax title taking, because we did it prior to the Supreme Court ruling, do we still have the obligation to track down the owners of that parcel and to try to somewhat pay the difference? Or like Mary Ann said, since it was previously taken, that's not an obligation anymore? And who's making that legal determination?
Gordon was here for the meetings. I will double, triple check, but I believe that these were fine to sell, but I'm gonna double check because you asked.
Yeah,
I was surprised that this came up.
Yes.
I was surprised that this was a question tonight. But I will, before tomorrow night's meeting, I will check with Gordon again.
I just know that the general public's gonna ask that
Yep.
question,
Mhm.
that, you
And
know.
that's why I came tonight.
Well, and more than anything, and I know, just like this one is in my precinct
Yes.
and this one has had things come and go from the lot at least over, I mean,
31.
31 cheap, yeah, it's gone, things have come and gone from that lot, like boats and machinery and, so I don't know, so if someone's utilizing it to some degree. So regardless of like what the law says, ethically, I feel like the right thing to do is like make sure that the city has done diligence to reach out to the next of kin or whoever it went into probate and offer them to pay the back taxes and retain this property before it goes to sale. I understand with River Street, it might be that everyone's deceased and the people that it was in probate and would have gone to didn't want it. But if like once that diligence has been done, then okay, but for this property, like that's a question I have is like, has the next of kin been offered to retain this property for the back taxes and the fees? I think when the tax title issue came up and I called, I think I talked to Somerville and maybe it was Cambridge about what they were doing before the Supreme Court came down with the decision. That's basically what they were doing was they were offering for people next of kin to retain the land.
I want to go to Counselor Minhoff
absolutely.
online
Yeah.
real quick.
So a couple things, just want to piggyback off of many of the things that have been said. One, it's a shame that the city would do this, and this did not happen under your leadership, Mayor Jenny, but under the fact that you can take anyone's property is, I don't know, I don't want to be idealistic, but I don't believe in that at all. That's the person's property. But for a small amount, like $1,300, like that's kind of insane. I don't know what the circumstances were with that person. I mean, were they just belligerent, didn't want to pay, and ended up losing $60,000, $50,000 worth of a parcel? But sad that that has happened. But also, what's kind of weird to me is what like maybe I don't know the ins and outs, but for the first property, we are told that it's around 1,320 something dollars that that person owned or those people owed. But what was the amount for the second?
Okay, so I can tell you that for the second. So but I do want to tell you one thing. That sometimes what happens is, so I'll tell you what it is for the second. But I think what happens sometimes is that like the people got older or died and walked away. You know what I mean? Well, dead people don't walk away, but I think that it like many people, it's a taking and then people will pay it back, a taking and then people will pay it back. So for the taking on this one, there's 2 pages on this. So let's see, I'm 31, so I'm on the registry. Okay, so this was taken several times. First time it was taken was for $2,000, and then they paid it back for 2002. And another time it was taken for $2,900. They must have paid that one back, collector of taxes. Now, more recently, that was in 2003. Oh.
Oh, maybe it looks like this one was foreclosed on. It was
Yeah,
a
it's
sale of a
foreclosed.
foreclosed property
Yeah.
in 2006. Then it was owned by Francis Kennedy
Right.
in 2012, and then
Yeah. Yeah, and that was taken for $834.
What year was that?
That was 2007. And then 2014. $4,307. I think that is close to the last time. And the final taking, I think in 2019. No, the last one, the very last time, 2019. Never paid that back, is $3,456.
And they never paid that back.
They didn't pay that back.
and that was this Francis Kennedy,
Yeah, they were the
last
So-
owner,
life
life
estate.
estate. And then it went to affidavit of take.
So, a
So
couple-
basically, for $3,000, that person wasn't able to retain a property worth over $200,000.
Well,
Um,
it looks like he might have died.
So this 31 Cheapside Street person has also died. The
It
last
looks,
owner.
I'm assuming so, because it says life estate.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looks like originally the life estate was under Margaret. And then Francis bought it from the life estate for $100. And then it was bought again for $115 from Miriam Francis Kennedy. Then it was foreclosed on, then it was bought back by Francis Kennedy, and then it was pretty much taken by the city. So it's bounced around quite a few times. Not that it makes it any different, but I do want to go to Counselor Gordon because I see her hands up there.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I understand, and I think we all agree that we don't want the city taking people's property in,
Right.
Any case where it's not absolutely necessary. But I do think that there are cases in which I understand the necessity. Like, I'm not gonna go so far as to say I don't think it should ever happen. Because, unfortunately, there are folks who just would never pay their property taxes if the city had no leverage to make them do it. Or, there are cases where folks die, they leave town, there are squatters, properties are in disrepair, which it sounds like is the case with both of these. And I think the city has to be able to deal with that, because ultimately the city has a responsibility to, the neighbors, as well as, the people who owned this property at some point. So, I'm certainly in favor of us trying everything else first. And I'm very much in favor of us doing due diligence to, make sure that the heirs of the estate, or whatever, know that this is happening, have the information, have the opportunity to do something about it before something else happens with it. But ultimately, I'm glad that the city is taking care of this, because it sounds like it's a real necessity for the whole neighborhood.
Go ahead.
Not to mention, there's several of them throughout the city that depending on whether it's auctioned off by either of these, or sold. I don't know if there's an option if it's auctioned off and bought for a song, can the city hunt down heirs and pay restitution, or, is that, we like going into the weeds?
I mean, this one has heirs. This one, as of like September, like this Miriam was alive.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I mean, that's my only. I agree with Rachel that I think that there needs to be a new process that can deal with some of the blighted properties that are very real, that we have, that do a long history of back taxes. But for some of these, like I know for this one, I've seen things come and go off that property over the years. And like a Google search shows me that there's heirs to this property or that potentially. And so they should be able to pay the $4,000 and retain and bring it into compliance in terms of
Oh,
code. Yeah.
I do want to tell you that I just printed and put on Patty's desk the attorney bill for this month.
Mhm.
It was $20,000.
Mhm.
And almost all of it was to do with problem properties. I call it the problem properties. But they actually call it property compliance, which is probably a better way of saying it for those of you who are better wordsmiths than me.
Mhm.
But around these 28 to 30 properties that are really making it absolutely miserable for neighbors, and you know
Right.
very well what they are. I just solved one of them and I was like, hallelujah.
Yeah. People are very happy about
And
that in my precinct.
Yep. I
and we're
was like,
very close to another.
and I'm very close to another, and you have no idea what it was like. I told, one of them, I have people who actually, they have master's degrees in squatting. And I have put every ounce of my being into this. They've never paid an ounce of rent or anything, and they've been living in a house for 10 years. Just last week, we got them out. And they were making life absolutely miserable for everyone on an entire street.
Mhm.
And so that's why I brought the attorney in, but $20,000 worth of bills. Now, you could think that the mayor was not a good person for trying to move something along. It is not that I am trying to make any money at all for the city. It is that we are trying to get something so that it looks like so it looks better. And you saw me, I was walking on a Friday night,
Yes.
trying to look at a sidewalk and many times as people are getting a lot older, or people died, or their spouse died. And I went up and knocked on this guy's door, the man that owns those two parcels. Please don't say the street.
Yeah.
And, he can't afford either one of them. They are just literally falling down. They're hazardous. This one on River Street, I believe, is hazardous. The city does not have the resources to take care of these. We don't have the DPW staff to keep them up. We own 2 pages worth of these parcels. And we can't keep them up. We should be keeping them nice looking, right? As property owners, we should be setting the example first. But I am certainly not trying to take things out, make money and take them out like, oh, I want to take a house for $3,000. That is not me. It's not what I want to do. It's that we said, okay, these ones, after the meetings, there were all of us. I had the fire chief. This is the resources that we put in to one room. It was a 2-hour meeting with the fire chief, the police chief, the health inspector, the building, and 2 people from building, the attorney. I forget who else was in the room, but all of these folks trying to think, what can we do for these? The assessors were in there, and the treasurers, everybody finding together. But it is not about making money. It's about what can we do. It's a total mess. They're condemned way down, and a lot on Deerfield Street. It's terrible. Many in your precinct. And the sheriff's office was going to come. They offered to, because one that we have that's very near something else happening. They offered some guidance on eviction.
Mhm.
It's really a terrible problem in a very poor city. So any help that you have or guidance, I would totally appreciate.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something and then I'm gonna go to Counselor Minhas, whose hands up. So I think this is an important step, right? Because you've identified an issue that's been going on within the city for many, many,
Yes.
many years that has been blatantly probably ignored, right?
Yes.
Because it was more troublesome than what people wanted to tackle, right? So we know we have this problem. We know we have these properties that somehow we acquired somewhere down the road that are blighted. And we need to address that issue. And also in a time where, you know, there might be developers out there who would buy these properties. And, you know, you see, you know, there's one developer in Greenfield, I've seen him fix up probably 6 houses on Conway Street already, you know, like, so there are opportunities now in Greenfield, since we need housing, that somebody might buy these properties and put new housing in, right? So, it's just, we want to make sure we're following the right procedures. And it sounds like you collectively, you and your staff have identified the right way to do it, and you've had $20,000 worth of legal opinion
1 month.
in 1 month. So you have done your due diligence. It's just, I think, again, it's one of those things that they don't see those meetings because they're probably not public.
That is a private meeting, and I actually cannot ask folks to that. I'm not trying to keep that, you know, it's not that it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
like, especially with a couple.
Yeah, so I think, you know, just knowing that you're taking those steps, I think, you know, having more of a public comment saying the city of Greenfield realizes we have these issues within our city. We're identifying these issues and trying to resolve them in the best legal manner, you know, so people understand that the process is being followed. But I'm going to go to Counselor Minhas, because what you're going to get is a lot of people doubted, saying it's lack of transparency, right? Because that's what
Right.
everybody hears.
I know.
So, Counselor Minhas. And you're muted.
Sorry, my computer's giving me issues. As you might know, this was kind of one of my essential points to my campaign, and when I was running and when I was talking to constituents, was the home equity theft stuff. And we were able to bring about the elderly and disabled taxation committee to tackle issues like this. And in that research, I had remembered that there was a retroactivity period for this. So the Supreme Court has ruled, right, that up until 2023, anyone whose property as of May 25th, 2023, they can claim, okay, that the city has sold their property and that they are due excess equity that the city essentially took. And I see that as a travesty that cities were doing this, and this is not just Greenfield. Many other cities were doing this. I think there's two aspects to this. One is, yeah, you can say potentially some properties were before 2023, therefore it gives us the legal authority to sell the property. Like, yes, we have the legal authority to sell the property, but take all of the profit from that property and retain that for the city. Legally speaking, we might be able to do that, but that could open us up to some litigation. Let's say that there's some sort of family member or heir who, you know, is like, okay, that kind of potentially is close to 2023. There have been cases filed in Massachusetts that don't exactly fall on that May 2023 line that have pursued this. So, you know, to save the city money. And also, I just think it's the right thing. You know, it's not like, take what the city was owed in taxes. And then, other than that, even if it's like $15,000, or in the second case would be um, hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think it's the obligation of the city as the, you know, administrative authority to find the heirs and the people who this belongs to. I think it would be a good gesture for the city. Um, and necessarily like a few $100,000 are kind of like a drop in the bucket for the city. And like the mayor was saying, the city is not involved in the business. Right, I should say now the city is not involved in the business of taking properties to make money off of it. That's what I've gleaned from what Mayor Ginny has said, and I think if we want to stick to that, we should ensure that, hey, whatever properties that we're selling, Let's retain the taxes that were owed to us. And then other than that, find, to the best of our ability, we don't live in the Stone Age, but there's paper trails and electronic records and all of these things, and everybody has an ID and an address. Find the heirs if the property owners have deceased, and give them over however much is in excess. I think that would be something that's done in good faith and is just the right thing to do. Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments on this discussion item?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that the Seven River one is commercial. You know, in case anybody wanted to know that,
Mhm.
but, again, it really was just to make it look, it was just to get two of them. If you all want the city just to hold them, I'm okay with that. I do not care at all. We have like 30 of them. If people want us just to hold them and do nothing, but we can't afford to keep them up. Like the Green River School with the roof caving in, and like, it's really hard. That's another one I can't talk about because.
Thank you.
So
Well, the point,
Um,
my only thing I just want to reiterate, the point isn't, I think many of the constituents or people that I come across, the point isn't, hey, the city shouldn't sell them, we should just have them in eternity, generating nothing, no revenue. The point is, we sell them, gather what was owed in taxes, and then the
Right.
rest should be given to the appropriate owners. That's it. Not
Yeah.
that the city should have them and let them just rot away.
We have one person associated with one of the problem properties that no one can find for 8 years. Nobody, 8 years.
Yeah, and that's the problem you're gonna have in some situations, right? I also think that if you are gonna expect the city's legal department to be doing deed research and finding these owners and trying to give them reparations, that it's only fair that those legal expenses would be deducted
Yes.
from the sale value, right? And returned to the city. So I think we can all agree. Yes, the great thing is to get this back, get these properties off our books, because we're not in a property management company at Greenfield. And doing the right thing where appropriate makes sense to circumstances. Will you hold the money in a separate account for, 2 years and see if anybody comes forward?
The other part is, if they're auctioned off.
Yeah.
If a property's auctioned off and it's bought for a sold, by the time, you accrue $20,000 in legal fees to do this, there may be nothing left to give anybody.
Yeah.
So you auction off a home for, $10,000, you got, $15,000 worth of expenses. There's nothing to give, right?
I mean, there's a
Theoretically.
very clear, the home equity law is very clear about how a
Yes, it
city,
is.
like, none of that is a question we have to answer, thank God.
Right.
Well, I think what we need procedurally in place, and I know tonight's just a discussion, like, we don't have to make any formal decisions here. But I think what I would like to see procedurally is that when something like this comes in front of us, that we can clearly see this is the steps that were made to contact the next of kin or whoever was identified in the probate. This is how many months it's been, so that we can say, okay, we've been trying to get in touch with this person for 8 years. It's okay, we can now take this for title and auction it and follow the procedure that the home equity legislation put into place where you're, there's a formula for how you figure out what your cost is, and it's like anything over $125,000, whatever. So all I care about is that I can adequately see that the next of kin or the property owner has been contacted and given like first right of refusal to pay the taxes and retain the property with an adequate amount of time to respond. And maybe that's an internal procedure if it doesn't exist. That's like, we do this research for 6 months and then it moves forward or whatever. I know Kelly Varner gave us a presentation forever ago about this, and there was some internal procedure that the city followed in terms of like lengths of time and response. And at that point, it didn't feel to me spacious enough for like a next of kin to be notified.
Next of kin is something else entirely.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. But what we're finding, however I see, like with this aging population, with this one in particular, like Seven River,
Yeah, in cases like that where there's no one and it's like, it's clear, let's move and let's do it and let's hold the money as we should and follow the law.
Yeah.
And get the blighted properties hopefully in the hands of people who need houses and want to fix them up.
right. You just want it to look better for your neighbors. I live in a neighborhood. You all live in neighborhoods. You know what I mean?
I mean, I want to walk on that sidewalk.
Me too. Oh, me too.
I just fought for a sidewalk for 4 years to be
I know, I
opened.
hear ya.
He moved the barricades though. Thank you, DPW. He moved the barricades.
Anyways, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Any other further discussion on this item? I'm seeing no. So that moves us on to the next item, which is the next meeting. There's a joint public hearing with the planning, well, no, I'm reading the wrong. I got too many papers in front of me.
Is it November 6th or did that get moved?
They were talking,
Oh,
somebody
it
was
is
talking
November
about
6th, you're right.
December. Yeah.
No,
I think we ended up getting a quorum.
did November 6th, we did. So the next meeting is a joint public hearing with the planning board, November 6th, 2025 at 6 PM. City Hall meeting, second floor, Zoom or hybrid unless otherwise posted. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All right, we got a roll call out of that one.
Yes.
Counselor Machitero, yes. Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock,
Yeah.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Thank you for your time, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks for being here, Mayor. It was really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good night.